Coming up on Eagles Game Plan.
Now it's ball game over. When you see the depth and the width and the hips of this safety right here, Zach does a great job. He comes back inside, Carson delivers it on time, and it's a well-executed play.
The Seahawks don't have a great offense, but they have a very difficult offense to match up to in certain ways. And one way is the Seahawks' use of the empty formation.
This offensive line, John, they're playing so well. But they have to know where Bobby Wagner is, because Bobby Wagner finds the football as well as anybody in the game.
Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Verizon Wireless. I am John Clark. The Birds getting ready for a tough road game at Seattle, but how about the offense? They are rolling. The Eagles, for the first time in team history, have won 3 straight games by 28 or more points. And who is leading the way? Carson Wentz. Who better to break him down than his own head coach, Doug Pederson, with our own Ike Reese.
It is 1st and 10 at the 17. Wentz in the gun. Clement to the right. Wentz back. He steps up. He is firing. Touchdown! Perfect strike as he guns it to Zach Ertz.
Joining us for this week's tape study, Eagles head coach Doug Pederson. Coach, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Always enjoy having you. Big win this past week against the Bears, and some real nice plays from the offensive side of the ball, being able to put the ball in the end zone. Let's take a look at a couple of them here.
Okay, certainly. Well, going into this football game, we understood what the Bears were in the red zone. This is a single high coverage team, a lot of man coverage. You know, Vic Fangio plays a lot of one high safety, which is what we're going to see here. So we wanted to get our 2 best playmakers, who we thought, or Alshon and Zach Ertz in the red zone. We wanted to get a 2-on-1 on the safety right here. So what you're going to see, Zach kind of push what we call a copper route. It's that corner post on this side, and then Alshon's going to work inside, and he's also going to work a corner post, and we're going to put a little stress on this safety right here after they rotate down. So as you can see what happens, playing in the middle of the field, you got a one high look, and now we're one-on-one on the backside, and we're one-on-one here. Nelson does a great job. He's just basically what we call a spray pirate route. So he's just kind of controlling the underneath there. We also got the same thing working up top with these two. And then Carson's just putting his eyes right here on the single safety middle player. And he stays on the backside hash. Now it's ball game over. When you see the depth and the width and the hips of this safety right here, Zach does a great job. He comes back inside. Carson delivers it on time, and it's a well-executed play. Great job. He had a chance maybe to go to either side, but again, because the safety was hanging on that backside hash, Ertz was the target.
Always impressed about how much information needs to be processed by the quarterback.
Exactly.
And then where to go with the football. I like this play design here, Coach. A little bit of RPO action here.
Right.
Talk us through this.
Okay, so this play right here has got a lot happening. It's basically a stretch zone is all we're trying to run. We're trying to give number 30 the ball on this particular play, and we're going to try to capture the edge. What we got on the backside of this, though, is a little RPO. We're going to bend Ertz in there, and then we're going to push up and run that pirate route right there. We're just going to read this linebacker. So defense can't be right.
Right.
So, Ike, I mean, these are the things that we game plan each week, and Coach Stoutland does a great job in the run game by design to take advantage, again, of the personnel and what we see schematically. Now, here's where your quarterback comes into play. He sees a cap slot, right? So anytime there's a cap slot, meaning a safety over the top of a nickel defender, we anticipate pressure. Again, we understood that the Bears like to bring a little pressure down here. So Lane is pointing it out pre-snap. Nelly's pointing it out. And basically all he does is he just points. Carson just points at Nelly and says, hey, be ready if something does come. And then Alshon does a great job blocking here. Basically just a little bubble route. We get it to him. And then Nelly does a great job finishing the play. Here they come off the edge. Safety's late in reacting. He actually takes a half a step back. Carson does a great job of flipping the ball out to him, and then the rest is history. Nelly does a great job. Again, really good block here. Even though he separates, initially he gets him in a great position to block and put him on the ground, and then Nelly can react after the play.
Real nice job from Nelson, run after the catch.
Exactly, and he's done a great job of that all season long. Get the ball in his hands, he's going to be very explosive, as you know.
Look at this play here, again, down here in the red zone. By the way, you guys have been phenomenal in the red zone.
Thank you.
The best in the league. Got a little bit of empty backfield set here. Talk us through this play where Alshon gets a touchdown.
Yeah, so again, this is to maximize our personnel. So as you can see, we got our tight end and we got 17 all on the same side of the field. And basically, anytime you can get our guy matched up on a linebacker by scheme, I mean, as you know, you played the position, that's a win, especially a big, tall, physical guy like this. So we just needed him to win over the top, and he's really pushing for this backside upright. That's his landmark where he's going, and then Ertz on this play is going to spray just a touch. He's going to chatter his feet, and then he's going to run a post on the inside. And we're just, again, we're taking advantage of really 3 guys on this particular play, and then Carson just does the rest. So you can see Alshon, he's over the top, and now he starts to bend to his landmark here. You can see the spray, the little stutter post there, and then Carson does a great job, a little pump fake, does a great job with his eyes, and then puts the ball in a position where only 17 can make the play.
Yeah, that pump fake looked like it froze the safety there.
It did, and that's something that he's getting better in that area. He's learning how to manipulate defenders just with that little shoulder pump, and then still making an accurate throw.
Another thing to be impressed with this offense, Coach, is the running game. Over 175 yards in 3 straight games. This offensive line is doing a fantastic job of front blocking.
Coach Stoutland does a great job by design. You know, we incorporate a lot of with our receivers and tight ends also in the running game. It's a wham scheme. So we're basically trying to take an advantage of just blocking the nose on this particular play. But one of the adjustments, and we don't get to rep all the adjustments every week. And you don't have enough reps in practice each week. So what ends up happening is you're going to see the nose work on the backside of Kelsey. Schematically, Brent's supposed to come in here and we're just going to trap the nose tackle, right? We're going to get Big Wiz up on the linebacker here. We're going to displace it, and then he's going to go here, and we should work Kelsey up to the backside linebacker, and then we just hit the ball as an inside zone or a type of a trap action. So what ends up happening, you see the nose go backside. Kelsey does a great job of redirecting him with his left arm. He does a great job of seeing it, and now he just works up and what we call the pizza theory. So you take mine, I'm going to take yours, and then from there, it's off and running. 61 does a great job, Wiz, right there on 52. Great vision by 29. He's so good in the hole, great vision, good redirect. He can change side to side. The only thing I wish he would do is take care of the football at the end. He already got the big gain. We don't need any more yards after that.
Tape Study is brought to you by Chickies and Pete's, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming up, we're going to look at which player on the Seahawks defense could make the biggest impact in this Sunday night matchup. But first, we're going to look at Russell Wilson and Seattle's passing game. How will they look to attack the Eagles defense, and what is Jim Schwartz going to do about it? We're going to cover that and a lot more when Eagles Game Plan, presented by Verizon Wireless, comes right back. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless network of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by AAA, the right call for every drive. Visit AAA.com today. Enemy Intel is brought to you by Rothman Institute at Jefferson, the official orthopedic and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles defense has been playing outstanding football, but they're facing an interesting challenge this week in the Seattle Seahawks offense. The Seahawks don't have a great offense, but they have a very difficult offense to match up to in certain ways. And one way is the Seahawks' use of the empty formation, where Russell Wilson is in the backfield in the shotgun by himself. There's 5 split receivers, there's no backs in the backfield. Now, empty is an interesting formation because it can do a lot of things for the offense. Keep in mind that as soon as you go empty, the defense has to spread out. And what that does then is define matchups. So if you have a really dynamic, quick player like J.D. McKissick and you want him in space in a mismatch in the passing game, you line him up out wide, you spread the defense, that's what you get. That's one thing that empty can do for you, is create matchups by spreading the formation. The other thing you'll see a lot of out of empty is the quick game. And by the quick game, we mean the 3-step drop timing pass game and the quick 5-step drop timing pass game. And of course, one reason for this, and I think this will be particularly important against the Eagles, is the ball gets out of Russell Wilson's hands before the pressure can get there. And in this case, that's really important because the Eagles' defensive front overmatches the Seahawks' offensive line. So the quick game will be really important out of empty for the Seahawks. Now, the other thing it does is it allows Russell Wilson to see things and create gaps, because when the defense is spread out, there are gaps. And we know that Russell Wilson is as good a second reaction quarterback as there is in the NFL. So very often he sees gaps and he moves. Now, sometimes he moves on his own because he can make plays. Other times he feels pressure or even perceives it when it's not really there, because he does have a tendency to break down. But he's so good when he moves, as you're seeing right here, moves around. Very late in the down, he'll find Paul Richardson for a touchdown. So the empty set gives an offense, and this particular offense with Russell Wilson, a lot of advantages. Because one thing when you study the tape of the Seahawks offense, you don't see a lot of structured execution in the pass game. You actually see a lot more second reaction plays. So the empty set is a challenge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, their D-line is better than the Seahawks O-line, but it doesn't end there. Now you have to make sure you prevent matchups from occurring that you don't like, and most important, Russell Wilson from moving around and creating plays with his arm and with his legs.
All right, the Seahawks are the only team in the NFL where the quarterback leads the team in rushing yards. That's because they hardly have any healthy running backs. So, Ike Reese, why even have a running back there? They have a lot of empty sets, don't they?
Yeah, it's one of the things Seattle loves to do. They lead the NFL in getting in this formation. Empty backfield set. They want to sort of spread you out, make the reads a little easier for Russell Wilson back there. And we saw this last year versus the Eagles, and Jim Schwartz is going to switch it up. You know, you give him an empty look against a guy like Russell who likes to run around, you can send extra guys. And if you watch as this play is developed here, we're going to send extra guys. You got him covered on the outside. You got him covered on the outside there. We're in man coverage here on the back end. But the primary reason you do this is you want to force Russell Wilson to get rid of that ball sooner than he wants to. Nice job there. He has to basically throw the ball up. I think that's a win from the Eagles. Now, you watch us here earlier in the season, right, against a guy like Phillip Rivers. Not much of a threat to run, but they like to get into empty sets as well. Again, this makes the reads for the defense a little easier to find for Phillip Rivers. But what I like is the look that Jim Schwartz decides to give him up here. Now, believe me, LA knows that if they get into an empty backfield set, that we're likely to bring pressure here. So Jim Schwartz calls the defense where he gives you the look of you're going to bring extra pressure. We got 6 guys up front here, but what's going to happen at the snap of the ball is you're going to see a couple of these guys drop out. We're still going to be able to get contained here, even though Brandon goes underneath. We're going to rush the quarterback with just 4 players because, quite frankly, Rivers isn't a threat to run. You put more guys back in the coverage. That sort of confuses Phillip Rivers, and all he can do is throw the ball up, and he's fortunate it wasn't intercepted by Patrick Robinson there.
Now, how imperative is it for the defensive linemen of the Eagles to stay home and contain Russell Wilson once a play breaks down? Because you know that happened last year against the Eagles.
You got to be disciplined in your rush lanes when you're rushing a guy like Russell Wilson. This guy, he'll pirouette, or he'll do some 360s out there. He knows how to keep a play alive. And so the Eagles' pass rushers have to be disciplined, stay in your lanes, don't lose containment, because he can hurt you and will hurt you with his legs.
Stay tuned. Coming up, we're going to talk about a player who has the potential to cause a lot of damage against the Eagles' offense Sunday night. Who is he, and what can the Birds do to keep him in check? We're going to find out when we come back on Eagles Game Plan, presented by Verizon Wireless.
There's been a lot of changes in the Seattle Seahawks defense over the last couple of weeks due to injury. But one constant all year has been one of the best middle linebackers in the game, Bobby Wagner. And when you think about it, the Eagles this season, other than playing against Luke Kuechly for about a quarter and a half before he got hurt, they haven't faced a high-level middle linebacker. And Bobby Wagner is that. He's one of the 2 or 3 best in the league, and he can hurt you in a lot of ways. He's a really good run defender, and that's critical in this game because the Eagles, on first down, they're the best running team in the NFL. So it's really important for the Seahawks to be able to stop the run on first down. Wagner is an outstanding run defender. He sees things really quickly. He's been added into the mix as a blitzer more and more over the last year and a half. When the Seahawks play cover 1, meaning man-to-man across the board with a single high safety, they've added more blitz. Wagner is predominantly the blitzer, and he's very, very good at it. Now, he's also really good as a zone coverage defender with the ability to read routes and to read the quarterback and step in front of underneath throws. And that's a big part of Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles passing game are those quick underneath throws. So Carson's going to have to be very, very aware of Bobby Wagner because he's outstanding reading the quarterback, reading routes, positioning himself in a way to make plays on the ball. So the Eagles really, as I said, for the first time this year, are going to play a really good middle linebacker. That's going to be a big challenge in this game.
All right, Mike Quick, so this is going to be a big test facing a guy like Bobby Wagner, and he can do a lot of things. How much of a challenge is this for the Birds offense?
He's a big challenge. This guy has 100 tackles already, 76 solo tackles, so they have to know where he is because he's going to get his hat on the football. And if you watch this play, you know, Greg talked about how disciplined he is and how he takes plays away, but if you watch him, he's going to be aggressive. Whenever Carson's going to put the football into the belly of the running back, look at the reaction because he likes to headhunt. He likes to get after the football, but when you give him that fake and you got that little pop pass coming over the top, whenever you're able to influence him and get him into the backfield, there's going to be a void. And the Eagles can take advantage of that void created by his aggressive play.
The Eagles have rushed for 175 yards or more in 3 straight games for the first time since you were a young lad, by the way.
Yes.
Can they run the ball against a pretty decent Seattle run defense?
They absolutely can run the football against them because this offensive line, John, they're playing so well. But they have to know where Bobby Wagner is because Bobby Wagner finds the football as well as anybody in the game. Very smart guy, very athletic, and as I said, he leads that team in tackles.
You know, Carson Wentz hasn't had to put up the big passing numbers over the last 3 or 4 weeks because the running game is controlling these games, huh?
The running game is working so well, and I think they have to continue to lean on the running game.
Welcome back, everybody, to Eagles Game Plan presented by Verizon Wireless. And it's unbelievable. The Eagles defense only gave up 1 touchdown the entire month of November. But now that we go into December, especially in the red zone, they've got somebody to worry about in this Seahawks game.
Yeah, level of competition certainly picks up this time of the year and starts this week when you're talking about the Seattle Seahawks. When you look at Jimmy Graham, right, we know he was a Pro Bowl tight end down in New Orleans, had a little bit of a down year last year, but he's found his stride with Russell Wilson this year. And guys leading the league in the red zone in targets, catches, and touchdowns. You watch him here last week against the San Francisco 49ers, and you're going to see Russell Wilson, listen, they trust where Jimmy Graham is going to go, right? So he's out here on the backside of this play with single coverage. Now, Russell Wilson has the option to either go inside or throw a back shoulder fader here. Jimmy Graham on the same page with Wilson, knowing that the middle of the field is open here. He's able to deliver a strike right in the gut to Jimmy Graham. I mean, he's been virtually unstoppable down in the red zone. Eagles defense certainly have to know where he's at when they get the ball inside the 20.
In a big way. Now, the Seahawks defense, they're banged up. But you know what? Watching the games the last couple weeks, it is hard to move the ball on them. Who do they have to watch out for on the Eagles offense and the offensive line?
I think the biggest threat are the 2 outside rushers, Frank Clark and Michael Bennett. Both those guys can really affect you when you're trying to run the ball, when you're trying to pass the ball. And for Vaitai and those guys on the end, they switch them around. So they'll go strong and weak side, those 2 guys. And they do a great job of coming off the edge. You watch Frank Clark here, and you'll see his ability to get speed off the edge and bend, get to the quarterback. He's just an outstanding football player, and both these guys can really affect the game, affect your passing game. So the tackles for the Eagles, they're going to have their hands full with these 2 guys.
Yeah, I think it's the best front 7 this offensive line has faced so far this year.
Yeah, and amazingly, going out to Seattle, this is the biggest underdog the Seahawks have been in 5 years. But don't sleep on Seattle because they're desperate, right?
Still a good team, tested veterans. Should be a good game.
All right, can't wait. For Mike Quick, Ike Reese, I'm John Clark. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Verizon Wireless. Enjoy the game. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless network of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by AAA, the right call for every drive. Visit AAA.com today.